Welcome, everybody. Arthur Perez. This is the Ask My Roofer podcast. As you notice, we are in a new space, and we are excited to be presenting the show from this new, amazing, spectacular space. I'm joined by my wife and business partner, Holly Perez. Holly, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
Wonderful.
Thank you for including me.
Of course.
Today.
Absolutely. It's an absolute pleasure. So amongst some of the changes you guys are going to see in the background, you'll see we have some fantabulous, love that word, sponsors. And so they are new to the show. It is Dataforma. They just joined us. If you guys aren't familiar with Dataforma, guys, Dataforma is the premier provider of project management, service management, and CRM software. They are fabulous. I've used them for, I would say, probably about the last 4 years. So I personally have an intimate knowledge of the CRM. They are great. On a side note, though, not to be so salesman-like, Brian Cook, Ingrid, you guys have been phenomenal, guys. So check it out. They are very interactive with what they do in terms of how they educate you on the software. They walk you through everything. It's an all-in-one. Stop wasting time. Contractors, I'm talking to you. Stop wasting time on other CRMs. Talk to Dataforma today. And with that, so the format's a little different. Like I mentioned, Holly, you're going to be interviewing me. And we're kind of just going to be talking about my experience so you guys can get more familiar with me, and then also where the idea of Ask My Roofer came from. So
awesome. All right. Well, first let's start with the roofing. How did you get into the roofing industry?
Well, as you know, my background since I was about 19 years old was real estate. My family was in real estate, so it seemed like the natural progression. I'm going to get into real estate, and we're just going to make it happen, right? And we did. We, I worked my way up through, a certain company that I was working for, Impact Lending at the time, and worked my way up from the warehouse all the way up to an account executive. So I learned everything from top to bottom. This was right around the recession, if you remember. We went through that lovely recession, 2008. And do you want to elaborate on that time at all?
Well, it was hard because we had just had our children, our first two, and it was a tough time thinking that, we're getting ready to buy a house and things are looking great, and then all of a sudden it takes a turn, and we didn't have a lot of experience in life to begin with. So we didn't realize what was happening.
Absolutely. We hadn't been through any of the real estate cycles, so to speak. Right. And I don't think too many people had been through a recession of that type. So I had to transition, just to get money coming in the door. We started working with Prudential, great company. And I ended up meeting Mr. Fontaine, and that whole thing. He met me and he said, "Hey, would you like to sell roofs?" And I said, "I would love to. But I don't know anything about roofing." Absolutely nothing. Never been on a roof, didn't know any systems, knew nothing about it. And he said, "I can train you." And this was in the first conversation that we had.
Well, he saw you were very service oriented. So you came in, you took care of him. He was the owner of the company. You got lucky because he happened to be in the office that day. Right. And it changed our lives, really.
It did. And so, when he offered me a position, I took his business card. I kind of slept on it for like a week. And I was like, it seemed almost too good to be true. It's kind of one of those God things where you put something in front of you and you're like, is this you, or am I going to make a complete fool of myself? But I took him up on the offer. And that kind of started my foray into roofing. Yes. I knew nothing about it. He knew that. So what he did was he put me on a roof. For about the first 6 months to a year. I was just going through every inspection, every production job that we would do. I was checking everything out, all of the systems, service jobs, repairs, replacement, leaks, all of that. And so I did that, and I had to learn the systems from a hands-on perspective before I could actually start selling the roofs. It's hard to sell what you don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yeah, what I love, though, is that you went from being an account executive at a
mortgage company.
At a mortgage company, and then you were working at Prudential, and what were you doing there?
So I was delivering industrial laundry.
Yes.
And picking up dirty industrial laundry. Industrial guys means dirty. they're it's anything from restaurants to roofing contractors, and that's how I was lucky enough to kind of slide into this industry.
Yes. So it was a humble experience.
It was.
And so that, I think when you go through things like that in life, right? It humbles you. And so starting with roofing, starting from the very bottom and working your way up.
I was prepared for that.
You were prepared for that.
I was prepared.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's great.
Yeah. And he saw something in you, and he was right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, so far.
Yeah. So who is your biggest inspiration in work and in life?
So in life, I would have to say you.
Oh,
You've been a phenomenal partner just in guiding me. We're Christians, right? So my biggest inspiration is God, Jesus, the Bible. In terms of work, there have been so many people who have helped me get to this point. Fontaine, Murray, people that you guys definitely need to know. Sam, Dennis, people like that, Christy Bravo, Stan Hoberg, yes. Tommy, all of these people who have kind of guided my path. There's just too many people to name because I feel like I wouldn't have been able to progress in the companies that I have and grow just with industry knowledge. My poor Zio, I mean, he was the first person that was, kind of helping me get through systems and navigate what I needed to learn in order to just get the ball rolling. So there's a ton of people, too many to name, but I thank all of them, for getting us to this point.
Absolutely. Yeah. Those are some great people that you mentioned. Yeah. Really, really neat. Yeah. So how do you determine which manufacturers that you use are manufacturers or distribution?
Right. So in terms of relationships, I've been doing this for a decade now in terms of roofing. And so I have established relationships. If I do need to go outside of those, which happens a lot, there's always new products. There's always new things that we need in terms of, and there's so many little ancillary things that are needed in roofing. You'll need a lift, scaffolding. You'll need somebody to assist with this or that. And so how do you find those people? How do we actually pick who we're using? It's relationship based. And if it's not relationship based, if I'm going into a situation where I need to find a new manufacturer, I need to deal with a distributor who's outside of a service area that I'm normally working with, then it's how they treat me from the beginning. And then communication. Do they say what they're going to do? Are they following up with that? Are they helping me with the technical expertise I need? Are they helping me with specifications? So really, it's just do what you say you're going to do. And the more familiar we become with each other, then we develop those relationships. And then I just trust them, but it starts with do what you say you're going to do from the beginning, and everything else will fall in line.
Of course.
Of course. So.
And they provide education as well, right?
Correct. Yeah, they do. So there are a lot of companies out there that we work with, manufacturers, distributors that will educate you on how to work with them. And then there are other companies like Roof Source who will actually provide the technical data, the specification, come out and teach you on the job training when you're installing how to do it correctly. So there are a ton of people that actually do that in our industry. And it's one of the things I like about the industry is that it's so hands-on,
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
So are there certain systems that you've sold more often than others?
Well, it depends. If you're talking residential, we live in the land of HOAs. We've done a lot of HOA residential. There's a ton of tile in just Southern California, Orange County. Everybody loves the Capistrano profile tile. So I've installed a lot of tile. I've also done quite a few commercial, a lot of TPO, a lot of PVC. Not too much built up, but it really is just preference and specification. We do a lot with consultants who they provide us with the spec. So I do what my clients need me to do.
Is there a system that you prefer?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So doing and installing one thing and then preferring two different things. I love coatings. Contractors, if you are not all about coatings, you need to be all about coatings. They are restoration systems. There's no downtime. It's half the cost of the jobs because there's no tear off. There's no nasty tear off. You're just going over the existing systems, which is what I love. I've been installing coatings for a decade. I've had no failures, but I also have had great installers. So get yourself someone who knows how to coat, and those systems are just money makers. And then the same thing with shingles too. If I'm talking about residential, there's so much profit in shingles, and they're so easy to install. Not to make light work of what our roofers do, because they're beasts, but a lot easier than tile. Tile cuts your hands up. It's heavy. It's just a mess.
So what is the hardest thing about starting your own business? What do you think it's been?
Everything.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of starting a business, so we've had the luxury of working with smaller companies, roofing contractors, right, where we have our hands in everything. I think I've been involved in every aspect of the process, from hiring roofers to maybe dabbling in a little bit of HR, estimating, marketing, sales, just all of it, ordering materials, job walks. You do it all because you're kind of forced to do it all. So it's given me a false sense of, I know how to do everything, right? When you're starting a business. But these people who've come before us and set these things in place, they have a process for it. So the hardest part about starting a business is developing all the processes that will ensure your success, right? It's very easy once everything's in place to just, I'm going to go get my jobs here, and I'm going to market here, and I'm going to do that. But you and I know that we're establishing that, even down to, you know, just the licensing, insurance, bonding, all of those things that you don't deal with an established company. We're just setting all the parameters and all the processes in place now. So,
not to mention starting a business during COVID.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. We're in a pandemic event, so that's a completely different show. But I will touch on that.
Oh yeah.
You know, starting a business during COVID has really changed how we deal with our clients, how we access our customers. You can't just walk in and say hello. You can't wander around the office and make sure that everybody's doing well, talk about your jobs. You know, you're reaching out to people via email. You're reaching out to people on social media, which is why we've gravitated as a company, Ask My Roofer and Purpose, to social media, because you have to reach people where they are. And really, it's why we started the podcast, you know?
Yeah, it's a great way to get to know people.
Yes.
Contractors, vendors.
Distributors nationwide, right? And as we're finding out, internationally.
Yes.
So
that's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome. Anything more about Purpose?
Purpose, we're just growing. You know, so we're looking to grow. We're always looking for quality people to link up with, maybe share labor, something like that. You know, I feel that the industry has become more progressive in terms of just working together and not being so competitive. We know that as the industry gets stronger, our companies get stronger. We build.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Well, you had mentioned earlier Christy Bravo and LA Roofing, and then I know Antis as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, they would be our competitors, right? But we like working alongside them, and I love the vision that you have with that.
Absolutely.
You know.
Yeah, and that's kind of, you know, the basis for Ask My Roofer. You know, so, you know, what is Ask My Roofer? You know, you may ask me, what is Ask My Roofer?
Yeah, what is Ask My Roofer?
And Ask My Roofer is essentially, we wanted to bring everybody together. What we wanted to do is unite the entire industry, which I think really needs to be highlighted, because people don't understand how huge and how valuable what we do is. You know, you look around and you say, you know, people don't see the whole building envelope. They kind of just see the front door. They walk in, oh, look at this beautiful interior, you know, but without realizing that the highest expenses that you're going to spend, whether you're an owner protecting your asset on a commercial building, or whether you are a residential owner, is roofing. It's roofing and asphalt for commercial. Those are the top expenses. You're only going to do them maybe once or twice in your life, but those are huge expenses that you're going to have to pay. And so, you know, when we're talking about Ask My Roofer and uniting everything, we wanted to highlight the industry so that people have an intimate knowledge about what we're doing in order to make the right decisions. So Ask My Roofer is education. It's a national directory, which we're working on right now. And it's a podcast for education. It's a place for people to talk about their experience, to talk about kind of different technical aspects of roofing, and then just build a rapport. Present the human side of what we do, and the philanthropy that goes on is enormous.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So do you have any Ask My Roofer success stories, like connecting roofing contractors like Bravo and LA Roofing Systems?
Absolutely. So, the goal and the long-term goal, I guess, the vision of Ask My Roofer has always been to just connect everybody, not just locally, not just regionally, but on a national level. And as we find out, I love saying it internationally. Side note, I love when we get comments or follows or messages from people in other countries. It boggles my mind. And I remember you said to me, well, they have roofs there, don't they? And I said, you're absolutely right. They do. So it makes sense. We'd have the opportunity to grow in that manner. But what we've done is we're actually sharing labor or helping out with jobs. We've had the opportunity to put Bravo Roofing in Brea with LA Roof Systems, Sergio in Los Angeles, and they needed to co-op for labor because some guys are here or there, and it's just been a great success story in terms of them being able to share and grow and prosper both as separate companies, right? But utilizing each other's expertise. So that's a small success story, but I hope to build on way more of those.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah, that's absolutely. Great.
Where do you stand on social media and branding?
I stand at the forefront of it. I think that it is absolutely imperative in the day and age that we are in. Contractors, listen up. It is absolutely imperative that you have an online presence. Most people do research from their phones. They are on social media. They are on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube constantly. I think we spend on average 6 to 7 hours a day on our phones just looking at social media that's not making calls or texting. So if that's the case, you need to be where they're at. You'll notice here, Dataforma, one of our sponsors, in order to even be a sponsor with the show, you have to have a media presence. You need to be on all avenues of media because that's where we're going to direct all the traffic to. So I am huge on that. I am huge on branding. I think that branding is huge. Cohesiveness in terms of your overall message is very huge. Your website needs to match your LinkedIn, needs to match your YouTube. Everything has to have that cohesive vibe to it so that people don't get confused as to what you're trying to convey in terms of your message. So I think branding is huge. And for us, you notice we're on, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, all across the board, because I feel like that's an absolute necessity for anybody who's trying to conduct business in 2020 and they want to do well in 2021.
Well, yeah, I agree. So who do you follow on Instagram?
We follow any manufacturer, contractor, roofing page that we can get our hands on. So, when you're managing and curating, as we like to call it, curating your page, you try to speak to a certain audience. What I've noticed that roofers are kind of all over the board in terms of what they're doing. So we're just going after everybody. We're just trying to put content together that pertains to everybody in terms of education, in terms of entertainment. I think that's more the genesis of the podcast, was the entertainment and reaching people in a COVID time. But it's just another avenue to get after people. So we're also following other podcasts to kind of see what people are doing, because, we're all about sharing information. Like I said, as we grow, the industry grows. As the industry grows, we grow. And as long as everybody's healthy, it's a benefit to all of us.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Has starting Ask My Roofer gone how you've expected?
I would say yes and no. It has, in terms of the growth. I think that people have really gravitated towards what we're doing. And I think they are because there's not too many or anybody that's really doing what we're doing in this space. There are, different companies out there that are starting to dabble in podcasting. There are people who are putting together videos. But I think the magnitude at which we're doing it kind of speaks volumes to the way that we're attracting people and growth. Yeah. So that has, in terms of other things, it's a production. It's still a production. You're still having to produce content. And I think that we're constantly learning. So what I thought was going to happen initially, where it was going to be a podcast and that would be it, we're learning every day. Every time we do a show, we're learning about new ways to reach people. We're learning about new avenues and places and ways to chop up content and get it out. So that's just like starting a business, always new.
Yeah. I love the education that it provides. Yeah. And I know that, you started doing Contractor Pro tips,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
And they're from all over the country,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
Because, we're here in Southern California, but we want to hear from roofers in Florida where
Absolutely.
there's hurricanes and just crazy weather.
They're going through one right now.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly. So
yeah.
So I love that. And share how they can, get on there and do that.
Absolutely. So what we want to do, guys, is we want to, like we said, unite the industry. We're always looking for content. Contractors, we would love to put together a weekly pro tip. We do have people submitting content now, so we're putting that out on different avenues. They're on LinkedIn, they're on social media. No cost to do that. We just want to highlight your business, but also just strengthen our brand as well by showing how national we are and getting your name out there by showing that you guys are forming, this relationship with the national brand. So Contractor Pro tips, if you guys would like to send one, you can always email us. I'll have links to everything that you guys need to reach us at. And we're looking for stuff like that. Yeah. Constantly. Content is huge. I think content is gold in these days.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Can you talk about the show sponsor?
Yeah. So, we're dealing with Dataforma. I've specifically dealt, like I said, with Dataforma for about 4 years now, and it is an all-in-one CRM. It makes your life so much easier as we put together our own company, and we're dealing with notes that are everywhere, and you find yourself just writing things down everywhere. This is a place where you can house all of your information. Now, as a salesman, I hated CRMs because I felt like it was just another way to give me busy work. But as I've transitioned to an owner, I realized that all of that information is so extremely valuable. And maybe I had the wrong attitude when I was a salesman, but my job was to sell, not sit in the office and plug in a bunch of data. Whereas as an owner, that's the gold. That's how you follow up, you stay in communication with these people. You can put analytics to what you're sending out in terms of paper and jobs and how long it's taking and who was on the job, and you can just track everything from Dataforma. So I'm very high on them. Like I said, their customer service is huge. Their technical support is huge. They're so responsive. They're just a phenomenal company. And you'll notice we have permanent swag in the studio because we believe that representing a company that represents us so well is the bare minimum that we can do.
That's great.
Yeah.
So what would you like to tell the listeners about how they can get involved?
So like I said, guys, we're always looking for content. We would love to have you guys submit pro tips. We're putting together a directory. If you're interested in any of that, you can always email us, askmyroofer@gmail.com. You can reach out to us on any social media avenue, send us a message, DM us. We're always checking that. We know that that's our livelihood with you guys and our connection. So if you ever need anything from us, have some ideas or want to be a part of the show, maybe even just a guest on the show, we're always looking for guests. Reach out to us.
Awesome.
It would be a pleasure and honor to have you guys on the show and highlight, kind of what you do.
So you had mentioned a directory.
Yes.
What is that exactly?
So it's going to be a national directory. What we're doing is, we want to bring in contractors from all over the country. We want to highlight them on a dedicated page. So the page is already built or being built, but it's on the website, which is Askmyroofercom. And it's a place where commercial owners, homeowners, anybody that's really looking to find a quality contractor in their area can go in. It's kind of like I dare say, because I don't want to use that word, actually I won't say it, but it's just a directory. You plug in your zip code and it brings up reputable contractors that are in that area. What we're doing is doing the background work to make sure that their license is in good standing, that they're in good standing with the state, and that they have their insurance and things like that, just so that we're pushing the right people. So if they're interested in, if there are contractors out there that are listening, you want to be a part of something big, reach out to us. We'd love to work with you.
Would you like to plug your social media?
Absolutely. So if you guys are on Instagram, you can find us on @ask_my_roofer. Same for Twitter. If you guys are on LinkedIn, it's just Ask My Roofer. Same thing for Facebook. And our email, once again, is @askmyroofer@gmail.com. or askmyroofer@gmail.com. We actually wanted to plug our sponsor as well. Dataforma is new to Instagram, but they're all over social media as well. They are at Dataforma social media. So do me a favor, give them a follow, Quality CRMs. Thank you so much for navigating the ship today.
You're welcome.
I appreciate you. You did a phenomenal job.
It was fun.
It's like you're a veteran. I can't wait to do more with you.
Awesome.
And guys, we appreciate you taking the time to listen. If you have any questions, we'll have all the links available for you guys to get in contact with us. And as always, stay safe on those roofs, guys.
Bye.